Hello, everyone. Welcome to a Little Chapel of Faith. My name is Tina. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. We have platforms on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. If you're on any of those or all those, please like, subscribe, and share. We're here with the readings from the autobiography of St Therese of Lisieux. Sorry I missed it yesterday. I've just got so much going on. Said my daughter's getting married. My sister will be having surgery, so there's just a lot going on in a very short amount of time. So trying to make sure I get everything in. So let's begin where we left off. There was at that time a certain nun who managed to irritate me in everything she did. The devil had a part in it, for it was certainly he who made me see all at once her bad points. Not wishing to give to natural antipathy, I reminded myself from the sentiments of charity were not enough. They must find expression. And I set myself to treat her as if I loved her best of all. I prayed for her whenever we met and offered her all virtues and merits of God. I was sure that Jesus would be delighted at this, for artists always like to have their work praised, and it pleases the divine artist of souls when, not stopping at the exterior, we penetrate the inner sanctuary where he dwells to admire its beauty. I prayed earnestly for this sister, who had caused me so much struggle, but this was not enough for me. I tried to do everything I possibly could for her, and when tempted to answer her sharply, I hastened to give her a friendly smile and talk about something else. For as it says in the invitation, it is better to leave everyone to their own way of thinking than begin an argument. And in the movie, there is a nun that just always just seems to pick on her for everything. And, you know, she at some point asks her why she's always nice to her. And she said, oh my goodness, I can't remember what she said, but she smiles at her anyway and says something, and something kind. But then, you know, at that point she starts coughing because she's getting tuberculosis. And the nun actually helps her. So it's a very good movie. Like I said, if you haven't seen it on Amazon Prime, you should, because it really is this book in movie form. So anyway, moving on. Sorry, I get sidetracked sometimes. Sometimes when the devil made a particularly violent attack, if I could slip away without letting her suspect my inner struggle, I would run away from the battle like a deserter. And what was the result? She said to me one day, her face radiant, what do you find so attractive in me? This was it right here. Whenever we meet, you give me such a gracious smile. What attracted me? It was Jesus hidden in the depths of her soul. Jesus who makes attractive even what is most bitter. I have just mentioned my last resort in escaping defeat in the battle of life, to act like a deserter. It is not very honorable, but it was always proved successful, and I often used it during my novitiate. Here is an example which will probably make you smile. You had been ill for some days with bronchitis, and I was rather anxious. One morning, I came softly to your infirmary to put away the keys of the communion grill, for I was sacristan. I was secretly rejoicing at this chance to see you, but one of your sisters was afraid I was going to wake you up, and in her zeal tried to relieve me of the keys. I told her very politely that I was just as anxious as she was to make no noise, but that it was my duty to replace them. I know now that it would have been better if I had simply handed them to her, but I did not think so at the time. I tried to push my way in spite of her opposition. Then it happened. The noise we were making awakened you, and everything was blamed on me. The sister made quite a speech, the burden of which was, if it was Sister Therese of the child Jesus who made all the noise. I simply longed to defend myself, but happily I had a bright idea. I knew I would certainly lose my peace of mind if I tried to justify myself. I knew, too, that I was not virtuous enough to remain silent in the face of this accusation. There was only one way out. I must run away. No sooner thought than done. I fled. But my heart was beating so violently that I could not go very far, and I sat down on the stairs to enjoy quietly the fruits of my victory. A strange kind of bravery, but it was better than exposing myself to a certain defeat. When I think back on my days in the novitiate, I see only too clearly how imperfect I was. I have to laugh at some of the things I did. God is certainly very good to have lifted up my soul and lent it wings. The nets of the hunters can no longer frighten me, for a net is seen in vain before the eyes of them that have wings. Later on, my present state may appear as most imperfect, but nothing surprises me any more, and I am not distressed when my helplessness is brought home to me. On the contrary, I make it my boast and expect each day to reveal some imperfections which I had not seen before. This enlightenment on my nothingness does me more good, in fact, than enlightenment on matters of faith. I remember the chariot coveth a multitude of sins, and draw upon the riches opened up by my Lord in the gospel. I search the depth of his adorable words, and cry with David, I have run in the way of thy commandments, when thou didst enlarge my heart. My heart is opened out by charity alone. O Jesus, ever since this heart of mine has been consumed by its gentle flame, I have run in the way of your new commandment with delight. And may I go on doing so until the day when in your company of virgins I will follow you throughout the boundless pieces of eternity, singing your new canticle, the canticle of love. And that is the end of chapter 4. I hope you are all having a good day. I think when we're done with that, I'm going to just stick to probably just for now anyway, where I have so much happening and things, and I like to do things properly. So I'm just going to stick to the Liturgy of the Hours for now, and I will actually tell you a little bit about my Liturgy of the Hour purchases, but I'll do that in a separate post. I will be doing the Rosary giveaway soon, so look for that. It'll be at the end of the week. But that is all for today. I hope you all have a beautiful day. Be well, be safe, be kind to each other. May God bless us all.